Okay. So let us start with a couple of prayers just to settle your mind. Because unless the mind is settled, self-inquiry is not possible. So I chant a couple of mantras. Close your eyes. Angigam bhuvanam yasya vachigam sarvavangmayam aharyam chandrataradi tam vande sattvigam shivam. Tam vande sattvigam shivam. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyagena yoba karottat pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranchalimanadosmi. Patanjalim pranchalimanadosmi. Samadosha samagnihi samadhadu malakriyaha prasannatmendriyamanaha swasthaitya vidhiyate. Swasthaitya vidhiyate. We salute Patanjali. First we saluted Shiva, the master yogi. Then Patanjali, the great expositor of yoga. Then the yogi, who is Swastha, who is calm, quiet and self-abiding yogi. We saluted all the three before we begin our inquiry into the science and practice of yoga. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Now you can open your eyes. The study of Yoga Sutras. Now we are trying to study the Yoga Sutra, which is a composition by Patanjali, Maharshi Patanjali. We have seen all this. Yoga Sutra has got 4 chapters and 195 sutras. Some of you must be having that book. And this text, Yoga Sutra, is a foundational text. So I recommend all of you to read that book. Because I'm not going to explain every sutra, but I'll be pulling sutras from various chapters and trying to thread a narrative. That's what I'm trying to do. And the Yoga Sutra has got 4 chapters. This chapter is called Samadhi Pada. Samadhi Pada. What is Samadhi? Second chapter is called Sadhana Padam. How to reach there. What are the disciplines required to attain Samadhi? Third chapter is called Vibhuti Pada. What are the powers you gain by practicing yoga? Physical, psychological, spiritual powers. And the 4th chapter is called Kaivalya Pada. These are the 4 chapters, 195 sutras. And our study, we are trying to study this text, master, unpack, unlock this text. It is a very mystic and cryptic text. And Patanjali Yogasutras has to be learned, studied along with some few other texts also. And one of the texts I indicated last lecture is called Hada Yoga Pradipika. by Atmarama. This is a very later text. Patanjali Yogasutras composed maybe 2000 years. This Hatha Yoga Pradipika was composed in the 13th century AD, 13th century after Christ. So it's a later text. And another text I would recommend is a text by Krishnamacharya called Yoga Makaranda. Yoga Makaranda. Krishnamacharya. So Krishnamacharya is the exponent of the Vinyasa Yoga. Vinyasa Yoga. That easy flowing yoga, where the attempt is to synchronize breath with the asanas, postures. Vinyasa Yoga, Krishnamacharya. Krishnamacharya lived up to 103 years. He died at the age of 103 years, Krishnamacharya. And he was the guru of BKS Iyengar. Krishnamacharya's text. It's called Yoga Makarand. And then another text is Sankhya. Sankhya Yoga is called Sankhya Sutra. Sankhya Sutrani. There are many sutras. And so Sankhya Sutras by Kapila Muni. And another important text is Bhagavat Gita, of course. So Bhagavat Gita represents the Advaita Vedanta or Vedanta tradition, where Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, everything comes. Whereas Patanjali Yoga is generally known as Ashtanga Yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Samadhi, etc. Ashtanga Yoga, which you are familiar with. And the Hatha Yoga is generally known as Shadanga Yoga. Hatha Yoga is Shadanga Yoga. I am throwing some words to tickle you, to arouse your curiosity. So Ashtanga Yoga, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyanam, Samadhi, which will be going in detail. Shadanga Yoga or Hatha Yoga, part of Hatha Yoga. And Shadanga Yoga are that called Shad Karmas. That's how it begins. Shad Karma. Shad Karma means purificatory rituals, purificatory practices. That's called Shad Karma, which is a little difficult. You have to do it with the help of a guru, a teacher. Don't do it by yourself. Cleaning the nasal passage, cleaning the stomach, and then blood work, and several complicated practices are there which you have to do with the help of a teacher. Shadanga Yoga. But of this Shadanga Yoga, the most important is Nadanusandhanam. Nadanusandhana is following the rhythm of your breath and the sound of your breath, called Nadanusandhana. And they also talk about an important bandha or mudra called Shambhavi Mudra, which is very popular these days. That also is part of Ashtanga Yoga. Shambhavi Mudra. What is Shambhavi Mudra? I'll tell you a slogan for that. Antarleksham Bahir Drishtihi Ninmeshonmeshasya Varjida Eshava Shambhavi Mudra Veda Shastreshu Ghoshida. Shambhavi Mudra is very good for your meditation. How do you practice that? Antarleksham Bahir Drishti. You open your eyes and look nowhere. Open your eyes, you're looking nowhere or looking into the eternity, let us say. And don't blink. Unmesha Ninmesha Varjida. You are not blinking, opening your eyes, you're looking nowhere. Antarleksham. And you are focusing the inner rhythm of your breath. Eyes are not closed in this Shambhavi Mudra. Your eyes are open, you're looking nowhere, but you are focused on the breath, and you are not blinking. Eshava Shambhavi Mudra. This is called Shambhavi Mudra. The mudra of Shiva, it seems. Shambhavi Mudra. Veda Shastreshu Govida. It is not much described in the Vedas or other Shastras. You have to listen it from the Gurus. So this is called Shambhavi Mudra. And this mudra is to be practiced Muktasane Sthidaha. You have to sit in Muktasana. Muktasana is the left heel closing the anus. With the left heel, you close the anus and put the other heel on that left heel and then sit in Chin Mudra and body straight, sit in Chin Mudra. This is called Muktasana. In this Muktasana, you are not closing your eyes, you are opening your eyes, not looking anywhere. And then you are focused on the breath, the sound of the breathing, your heartbeat, your breathing, or sound of Om. Nadanusandhani. And follow that sound all the way to wherever it leads. Don't worry, your breath will not cheat you. So all the way, wherever your breath leads you, go there and abide there. This is called Shambhavi Mudra, seated in Muktasana, and Nadam Andastam Egadhi. Listen to that sound. This is the main teaching of the Hatha Yoga. So Hatha Yoga also is called Kundalini Yoga. It is also called Kriya Yoga. So you hear these words. How you practice Kriya Yoga? Don't get confused. Kriya Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, Hatha Yoga, or Nadanusandhana, or Shambhavi Mudra, all these are more or less the same thing. So we must have some parichaya, some familiarity with the Hatha Yoga practices. Hatha Yoga has got about 389 slokas. So I don't recommend you to read all that. There are certain things which I don't want you to practice also, which I'll be coming later. So it is a very important text in understanding what yoga is, along with the Patanjali's Yogasutras. And the third text is Krishnamacharya's Yoga Makaranda. That's another text you may, because he talks about various asanas and aligning with your prana. So that text also is important, I think. And the fourth text is, as I told you, the Sankhya Sutras. You don't have to read all that, but a familiarity with the word Sankhya is very, very important, because yoga practice is based on Sankhya Shastra and Vedanta Shastra. So these are the 5 texts one has to be familiar with in understanding what yoga is. So let me repeat: Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, Hatha Yoga Pradipika of Atmarama, Yoga Makaranda by Krishnamacharya, and Bhagavat Gita. There's another text which most of you are familiar with. And the 5th is the Sankhya Sutras. So 5th or so how many texts are there? Let me repeat to you. Repeat: Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, Yoga Makaranda, Sankhya Sutras, and then Bhagavad Gita. These are the 5 texts you have to be familiar with to understand the full import of yoga. And also the modern psychology and brain studies also will help you. A little familiarity with modern psychology and brain studies, how does the brain function? What happened to your hormones as you practice yoga? What happened to your musculature? What happened to your blood pressure? All those things will be helpful in understanding why certain yoga asanas or pranayama is important for your practice. So this is the whole ecosystem of yoga. Yoga is like a big forest or like a supermarket. When you go there, you get many products, many solutions, many toolkits, many gurus. So you will be a little confused. What should I choose? Because your time is limited. Life is a big away. There are a lot of demands on your energies and time. So within this limited time, maybe 1 hour every day, what should I do? Some people say, just do Surya Namaskar and Pranayama and chant a mantra. If you can do Surya Namaskar, you know the 12 steps, Surya Namaskar, along with the chant a mantra, and then do Pranayama. And Pranayama also simplified like Anulom Vilom. Anulom Vilom means inhale, pause, exhale, pause, exhale. So if you do this, for you, you have done, you are a yogi. But is that enough? Can we go a little deeper? That's what we are trying to do. But at least if you can do Surya Namaskar every day, it will take only 15 minutes. And do Anulom Vilom. And little bit of Stambhana. Stambhana means pausing inside and outside. You can be considered a yogi. And then some food discipline also, dietary discipline. And you can be considered a yogi. You can keep good health. You can live healthy as long as you live. So since the yoga market is so huge, very complicated, so many products are available. So how do I pick and choose? I thought I should help you in picking and choosing among this yoga supermarket. And let me tell you, certain things you have to avoid, because in this yoga supermarket you get the good, the bad and the ugly also. Good yoga, bad yoga, ugly yoga. So which one I choose? So I give you certain standard or criteria, let us say. Certain criteria for choosing what yoga fits you. What is the real yoga? What is fake yoga? This we must understand. The fake yoga and the real yoga. Certain standards are to be seen. Kind of quality check. So that you can pick up the right product. So I hinted about this last lecture. What are those criteria which I have to follow in picking your yoga practice? Because you are spending 1.5 hours every day, your precious time on the practice of yoga. So it's very important. Are you doing the right thing? Are you following the right path? Then I'll come to the goal of yoga. What do I expect from the practice of yoga? By investing 1.5 hours every day or 45 minutes every day, what do I expect? I'll be coming to that later. So first of all, let us see what are the things to be avoided. The first is invasive practices. I told you about that. Invasive practice. Very aggressive practice. One of the example of invasive practices, there is a mudra called Khejari Mudra, expounded in the Hatha Yoga. What is Khejari Mudra? Rolling your tongue back. And to facilitate that, you have to cut the ligament that connects the tongue to the mouth. So this I would consider invasive practice, procedure. Such invasive practices you must avoid. That's the first thing. So Khechari Mudra, like that. There are certain practices which Hatha yogis follow and which is risky, dangerous. Of course, we did such experiment. Our forefathers did such experiment, and then from their experience, they are forewarning us. Don't follow that. Though it is written in the Hatha Yoga Pratipika, we are not following those kind of invasive method. The second is any practice which is morally repugnant. And one example is Vajroli and Viparita Karani Mudra, which I have talked to you last time. Vajroli Mudra. Developing your groin muscles and then trying to suck what you ejaculated, sucking it back. That kind of mudra, which is described in the Hatha Yoga Pratipika. You are not following that. So please write down that. Anybody talking about Vajroli Mudra, Viparita Karani Mudra, you are not practicing that. It is repugnant to your moral sensitivity. Though some of our forefathers practiced it, and sometimes they got the benefit out of that, but it is too risky. We are not following that, such a mudra. Because mudra is a very important part of the Hatha Yoga Pratipika. Though we study Hatha Yoga Pratipika, but certain things we have to avoid. So morally, any practice which is morally repugnant, which doesn't suit your taste, your sensitivity, you are not practicing. Some people, very gross people, they may practice it, but I don't want you to practice that. The third is drug-induced robberies. When you take drugs like ayahuasca or soma, mushrooms, cannabis, marijuana, you feel your brain goes through this turbulence, and you feel your doors of consciousness are opened, but they are temporary, they have side effect, they compromise your agency and freedom, you become a dependent person, and we don't want that. Though Patanjali himself talks about mantra aushadha, sometimes aushadha may help you, but if you become dependent on aushadha or drugs, it is not healthy, and there is every chance for that. So I would forewarn you, don't go walk that path. That may be a shortcut. That will give you great experiences, but at a great toll on your health and your agency and freedom. So I would forewarn you about using drugs and taking the shortcuts. Though Patanjali talks about aushadha, drugs. Even Veda talk about soma. Somam pibama, we drank soma and we saw the face of God and I walked the path of truth. There is some Vedic statement like that. But later, and there are many mantras extolling the greatness of soma. Soma means that particular liquor which they extract from certain leaves or a certain mushrooms, which we are not going to take that path. Then, life-denying practices that you have to cut off from society, from your nature, go to a cave where there is not much oxygen, and deprive you of food and fast. So too much fasting and sitting in a cave, denying you exercises and the atrophied limbs and stunted mind. And then you say, I am a yogi, shushka vrikshavad, I become like a dry stump of a tree. Not desirable. That's not the path you must take. You must be in the world, fulfilling your responsibilities. If you are in the family responsibilities. If you are a brahmachari or a swami, that responsibility. Therefore, don't cut yourself away from the society and even nature. Some yogis do that. They have nothing to do with the nature. And that's why they breathe a little, they eat a little, they do no exercise, they sit and simply atrophy. which is not a healthy yoga as far as I can see. So any life-denying practices should be avoided. Then the fifth is avoid seeking magical siddhis. That is another trap. Oh, when I do yoga, I can pull a car with my teeth and, break blocks of bricks, and then I can walk over water, I can read somebody's thought, and those kind of siddhis should be avoided. Because Patanjali says, te samadho upasargaha. They become hindrances to your true spiritual awakening. So they also are to be avoided. And sometimes, some yogis will tell, so come to the cave, sit there for the rest of your life, or raise your hand, or stand on one leg. These are all dangerous paths. Though initially it may excite you, but that's not the path we want to follow. Then again, this is a little sensitive. Avoid abusive gurus. They can abuse you physically, verbally, and sexually, and financially. Avoid. Anybody hinting anything like that, a red flag should rise in your mind. No, this is not my cup of tea. So avoid, and there are certain gurus, especially when you're physically doing yoga, if you are not doing properly, and the guru get angry. Like B.K.S. Iyengar, he always used to shout at people. And with the good intentions. But it creates such a feeling, humiliated feeling in the Shishya, and they will never master this technique. And they don't enjoy what they are doing. So avoid abusive teachers. Abuse can be physical, verbal sometimes, sexual, even financial. Abuse is possible. And such gurus are to be avoided. So these are the, and seventh is avoid extremes. Extremes. As Bhagavat Gita says, yuktahara viharasya, yuktacheshtasya karmasu, yuktasapnava bodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkaha. What you eat, what you do, your sleep, even your exercise, everything should be moderate. It should not tax on your energies. You should feel growing in it. You should feel enjoying it. What you don't enjoy and in which you don't grow, you don't do that. So these are the 7 avoid. These are the things which are to be avoided. Isn't it? Let me repeat it. Invasive practices, morally repugnant practices, drug-induced practices, life-denying practices, and magical practice or magical siddhis, and abusive gurus, and extremes are to be avoided. So these 6 principles are to be followed so that you can pick the right program or right discipline of yoga. And of all these yogic texts, the most important text is Patanjali Yogasutra. And that's what we are going to study. And now let us see, what is the goal of yoga? Why are you doing yoga? Why are you investing 1 hour or 1.5 hours in yoga every day? Because this has to be done every day. Practice, we have said. Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena tu lipyate. So we have to practice it every day. So if you are investing 1.5 hours every day in yoga, what are you expecting from that? Have you thought about that? What's my goal? Why am I doing it? No, my neighbor is doing, so I am doing it. My boss told me, so I am doing it. I have nothing else to do, so I am doing it. Is that your reason for practicing yoga? There should be some reason. The yoga should give you something. At the end of the day, you must see the light. So why are you doing yoga? Then alone you can practice lovingly, daily, with total involvement and commitment. Otherwise, so unless you are clear about the goal of yoga, yoga practice will not be easy. It will be a chore. It will be a burden. You will not enjoy it. So let us discuss first the goal of yoga. So first chapter of Patanjali Yogasutra is the goal. What are you trying to achieve? Have you thought about that? So all of you do yoga every day. Why? Why are you doing it? What is the goal? What's the purpose? Are you growing in it? Are you bored with it? So, what is the goal of spirituality? Let's say yoga is a spiritual practice. What is the goal of any spiritual practice? Or any religious practice? You take Semitic religions, Vedic religions. They all offer you heaven, isn't it? My God, I am not interested in heaven. I am interested in something in this life. So generally, the fruit of a spiritual practice is heaven. You, after death, you will reach heaven and live there happily. So if I offer you the goal of heaven, will you be motivated to practice yoga? Maybe as you go into the last breath, at that time you may think of heaven, but not now. I don't think I can motivate you by offering heaven, unless you are Islamic fundamentalist. They can do anything with this goal of heaven. Though spiritual masters offer that, heaven as the goal, because it is said in heaven, you don't have to work. You can always enjoy. There is no death, there is no disease, there is no old age, there are no enemies there, no hunger, no thirst. Of course, it looks a very attractive proposition, isn't it? I mean, the definition is wonderful, but the catch is, you can reach there only after death. My God, my problem is not after death. My problem is while I am living. So therefore, heaven is not a attractive proposition. Then what else? And I'm just taking you through various, the supermarket of yoga. What else? What else can motivate me to do yoga every day, 1.5 hours? Then there's a Vasana Chayam, another goal. Vasana Chayam, elimination of vasanas, tendencies, memories, karma. You must have heard that. I want to eliminate my karmas, which is binding me, vasana, which is binding me, which is propelling me to move, rush into the world. Is that your goal? Vasanachayam, karmachayam. If there are no vasanas, there is no desire, there is no activity, there is no accomplishing anything. When you say vasanachayam, we have to understand what does it mean. But this also is given as a goal. Vasana Chayam, reducing your vasana, your desires, reducing the pressure of memories, reducing habits, so that you can be spontaneously active in this world. So Vasana Chayam or Karma Chayam. Antakarana Shuddhi, purifying oneself. Antakarana Shuddhi. Another goal given. Bhuta Shuddhi, Kaya Shuddhi, Nadi Shuddhi, Prana Shuddhi, all kinds of Shuddhis. Purifying oneself. Because it is believed as you live the metabolic activities, a lot of garbage is gathered in the body. And they ought to be purified. This could be one goal. Vasanachayam, Karmachayam, Nadi Shuddhi, Prana Shuddhi, Bhuta Shuddhi, etc. Should be one goal. You can write it down. Then some people say, my goal is liberation from the cycles of birth and death. Punarabhijananam, punarabhimaranam, punarabhijanani, jadare shayanam, ika samsare, bahudustare, kripaya pare, pahi murare. I don't want any birth. This is the last birth. I am tired of this birth. Is that your goal? I am asking you seriously. You don't want to take any other birth? Or are you tired of this birth? Do you regret having born in this body? I think you are kidding. You don't. However sick you are, you want to continue, isn't it? So though you say I want a liberation from the cycle of birth and death, I don't believe. I don't believe. That's not your goal. But this has been given us a goal by our rishis and munis that I don't want to take it. The birth was a mistake. I don't know why I came into this world. I want to be free from all this. I don't want to be in the world. The world is a trap. I'm asking you certain questions. Is that which motivates you? Are you tired of living? You don't want to enjoy this life. So these are certain questions we have to seriously ponder. Otherwise, yoga will not be meaningful. Some of you may say, express some deeper thought in this vocabulary. That is possible. When your children are not listening to you, your wife is not at home, she is always in the club, and there is no electricity at home. Then you say, I don't want this way. Isn't it? When there is little pinpricks in life, then you blurt it out, and I don't want this life. Are you serious about that? You're not serious. Or you lost your money in the stock market. I don't want to. This life is a precious gift. You cannot say, I don't want to. I don't want this life. Though occasionally you have some sufferings and pain and all that. So I don't think that is what you seriously want. Liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Of course, these ideas has to be probed deeply. What is birth? What is death? What are vasanas? What is karma? All those things we have to deeply reflect. Because we are playing with the words these days. You simply use words without understanding the deeper meanings. So I'll be coming to all this. I'm just teasing you now with taking you through these various solutions that they offer, various fruits that they offer. Is that what you want? Think deeply. Go deep into yourself. So when you say vasanachayam, what do you mean? What is that vasana? Without vasanas, can you act in this world? Without memory, can you function in this world? Without thinking, can you act in this world? Some people say, I don't think at all. Some yogis say, I don't think. There is no thought. Then how are you functioning in this world? No, the Lord is functioning through me. Even when the Lord functions through you, He is using the instrument of your body, mind, intellect, etc. Isn't it? Otherwise, they cannot function. So these ideas are to be probed deeply. I'm just challenging you. Some of the words that we use without understanding properly. What are they? What is the meaning of vasanachayam, karmachayam, or freedom from birth and death? What is the meaning? So, even Bhagavat Gita says, Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha dosha anudarshanam. birth, death, old age, disease. These all causes suffering. Therefore, I don't want. I want to die. Some yogis do that also. They shut themselves up in a cave and block the mouth of the cave and then suffocate themselves and die. I don't think you want that. You're too modern for that, isn't it? Therefore, these are not, these may express some ideas, but we have to really chew it to understand what does it mean. Then finally, people say the goal of yoga is dukkha nasham, ending of suffering, ananda prapti, and gain of joy, happiness. This seems to be something agreeable to us, isn't it? Dukkha nasham, ending of suffering, and ananda prapti, gain of happiness. We are coming nearer to your inner feelings. This I can agree. Dukkha nasham and ananda prapti. How do I gain that? This is a great challenge that human beings are facing. How do I end suffering? How do I live timelessly? Suffering means time, isn't it? Whenever you suffer, there is time. When you enjoy, there is no time. If you enjoy what I am talking, you don't feel the time. If you don't enjoy what I am saying, you will keep looking at the watch all the time. When is it going to stop? Isn't it? So, wherever there is enjoyment, like in deep sleep, there is no time. So, dukkha nasha, ananda prapti means to live without the load of time, without the pressure of time. So this seems to be something, this goal seems to be something agreeable to us. The rest are all vocabulary only. We don't understand what it is. And finally, the goal of yoga can be health. That also we can agree with, isn't it? How do you live a healthy, harmonious, inclusive, creative, happy life? Productive, I can use more words. A happy, harmonious, inclusive, productive, creative life. Health. This is something which is agreeable to us. If yoga can contribute to lead a healthy, happy, harmonious, creative, dynamic life, then you don't feel time. Time is hell, as some philosophers said. When you don't feel time, the weight of time just passes like that. Every moment you enjoy. If that is the promise of yoga, then I am all for this yoga. With that demand, we are getting into the practice of yoga, or we are getting into the text of Patanjali's Yogasutra. This is my demand. How does Patanjali present the goal of yoga? How does Patanjali present? So Patanjali, in the first chapter itself, he talks about the goal and the means of yoga. The goal of yoga, Patanjali says, tada drishtuhu surube avasthanam. Then, if you practice yoga, then drishtu means you, the practitioner. Surube, in the practitioner's real, original nature. Avasthanam, abide. Then you abide in your real nature. Meaning, then you are comfortable with yourself. You lead a life where you are comfortable with yourself. At this point, none of us are comfortable with ourselves. Every day when you look into the mirror, you are not comfortable because there is a gray hair here, tooth is missing, there is a line on the face, isn't it? I'm not comfortable. So none of us are comfortable with ourselves, who we are, what we are. So Patanjali says, when you practice yoga, you become comfortable, relaxed. Angalakavam. You don't feel the weight. You become weightless. Have you experienced that sometime? After practicing yoga, don't you feel you have become like a piece of cotton? Weightless, relaxed, self-abiding, comfortable with yourself. Patanjali promises this. You can be comfortable, relaxed, self-abiding, without any inner conflict. Because inner conflict dissipates your energy. Regardless of your age, regardless of your financial status, your gender, you can be comfortable with yourself. Every day when you look into the mirror, you can have a wide smile. Year to year you can smile when you have this yoga practice every day. So Patanjali says, Tada drishtuhu sarube avasthanam. Third sutra. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. If you practice this yoga, which will be coming later, this is what you gain. And are you experiencing that? Or are you struggling with yourself? Are you fighting with others? Are you comfortable? Can you smile? Are you relaxed? So, tada drishtuhu sarube avasthanam. Another goal which Patanjali talks about is krudarthada. Krudarthada. Kruda artham yena saha krudartha. Krudartha means a sense of fulfillment. I have arrived. A sense of fulfillment. None of us have that. You always want more and more and more and more and more and more and more. Aggrandizing, acquiring, depriving others, exploiting nature, using power, threatening a third world war, isn't it? So there is this unending dissatisfaction with life. So krudarthada, you feel I have arrived. From that platform you can function in the world. Not to reach anywhere, but I have already reached. I have nowhere to reach. If you have nowhere to reach, driving is a pleasure, isn't it? Of course, there should be plenty of petrol in the car. If you are nowhere to reach, driving is a pleasure. If you are somewhere to reach, driving is a misery. All the time you are looking to the watch. Then there is a traffic jam. Then somebody is cutting you across. Then you are shouting and screaming. Then your blood pressure goes up. Then there is an accident. Then you never reach. You reach the hospital. Isn't it? So therefore, if you have somewhere to reach, as they say, when you boil the milk, if you wait the milk to boil, it never boils. Relax a little bit. Everything will be okay. Don't sweat the small stuff, as they say. So, krudarthada, which is a great boon, blessing. I feel I am arrived. I feel I am okay. Krudarthada. So that krudarthanam parinama krama samapti, he says. When you do that, Parinama is a continuous change. I want this, I want this, I want something else. I am not happy with me. I am not happy with the arrangement here. Every day, when you, Sunday and Saturday, you waste your time arranging the furniture in the room, take the picture from there, put it somewhere, or, or do all kind of things. Waste your time. The parinama, krudarthanam, parinama krama samaptihi, Patanjali. When you have that sense, you disturb the environment minimally. You are looking for newer and newer experiences. Parinama. Parinama means continuous change. And you are looking for that. You are looking for something to happen, at least for a phone call. Isn't it? At least a phone call. Or at least a visitor. At least a new movie. At least you expect your husband come and, just hit you. Some change. You need some change. Otherwise you are not happy as you are today. So he said, parinama krama samaptihi. There's nothing new that I seek. When you don't seek anything new, every day is new for you. Everything is new for you. If you seek something new, everything is old. Everything is stale. If you don't seek anything new, every day, every experience is new. Look at the counterintuitive understanding of Patanjali. The whole logic is reversed now. That is what spirituality is all about. Reversing the logic. So, parinama krama samavatihi. Then Patanjali talks about the Purusha-khyadi. Purusha-khyadi. The goal of yoga is Purusha-khyadi, knowing yourself. Who are you? What are you? What is your essential nature? Are you just this body or something more? So, self-knowledge, Purusha-khyadi. Purusha means the self. And Guna-vaidrishnyam, he says. Guna-vaidrishnya means you are free from the play of gunas. So that you can play with the gunas. Please understand. Suppose if I give you a cycle, if you don't know how to pedal, balance on the cycle and pedal it, the cycle will drive you, isn't it? If I give you a horse free, if you don't know how to ride the horse will drive you. So the guna is a certain situation, a combination of energies given for you to self-express and self-explore and self-express. That's the purpose of the gunas. These energies, sattva, rajas and tamas. It's like a cycle or a horse I am giving you. Or a swimming pool. What is the purpose of a swimming pool? To discover the swimmer in you. What is the purpose of a horse? To discover the horse rider in you. If you don't know how to use it, then they will start using it. I hope you agree with what I am saying. So these gunas, the whole universe, the world, and your mental and the material world is a different permutation, combination of gunas. We have seen that. This gunamaya prakriti, this world, is for you to explore and express yourself and experience your profundity. But instead of that, the world has become a torture chamber. Isn't it? So here Patanjali says, once you know who you are through the yoga, you will be free from the entanglement or free from the slavery to the mind and the world. Mind and the world become a tool, instrument in your hand. That is what is called Guna Vaidrishnyam. You become the master of the gunas, then the slave of the gunas. You become master of your mind and master of your environment. At this point, you are a slave of the environment. Guna Vaidrishnyam. Another, the same thing, Patanjali puts in a different way. Pratyak chedanadhigamaha. He said, the goal of yoga is pratyak chedanadhigamaha. Chedana means consciousness. Pratyak means the subjective consciousness. You are not only awareful, you are self-aware also. That's self, of which you are aware. Whose real nature you do. So you get to the full awareness of your deep subjective self. Pratyak chedana. Adhigamaha. Adhigamaha means knowledge, understanding. Pratyak chedana. Adhigamaha. Then andaraya abhavascha. And freedom from andarayas. Andarayas mean psychological problems like depression, laziness, delusion, lack of progress, all kind of psychological issues, which we will be discussing later. Psychological issues and physical. Andaraya abhavascha. You can heal yourself of all psychological. And pratyak chedana adhigamaha. Understanding of your essential self. Again, Patanjali putting in another way. Nirbija asamprajnata sahaja samadhi. Samadhi. Samadhi is another goal. So, surubhavasthanam, purushadhyadi, pratyak chedana adhigamam, then samadhi. Samadhi, Patanjali qualifies samadhi, nirbija samadhi, asamprajnata samadhi, sahaja samadhi, which we will be discussing later. Nirbija, asamprajnata, sahaja samadhi. Nirbija means you don't, this samadhi, you are so clear about it, so established. Nothing can push you out of that. Yadgatvan nivartande tadhama paramam mama. Once you are this, nothing can push you out of that. No mental event, no external event can disturb you. Undisturbed samadhi. Nothing can. The known and unknown things. You are so calm and quiet. At the same time, very alert. So, nirbija asamprajnada. Asamprajnada means effortless. Asamprajnada, effortless. Sahaja, natural. Samadhi. So, please remember these words. So, nirbija samadhi. So, let me give you 2-3 main words. Nirbija samadhi, purushadhyadi, and Suruba Avasthanam. At least these 3 phrases. Nirbija samadhi, a samadhi where there is no disturbance later. Generally, in sleep you are very calm and quiet. Or when you are watching a movie, you are calm and quiet. Then again you come back to your own. Here, you are always in that state. That's called Nirbija. Purushadhyadi, you know who you are. You have no doubt about that. Nobody can disturb you. I know who I am. You may call me a donkey, but I am not going to kick you by hind leg. You may call me a donkey, but I know who I am. Isn't it? So therefore, that's called kind of Nirbija Samadhi. Then Surubhavasthanam. Okay, so these 3 phrases are very important. Surube Avasthanam, Nirbija Samadhi. Samadhi is a key word in Patanjali. Samadhi. There you are balanced. And Purushagyadi, Kridarthada, another important word. Then Adhyatma Prasadam, he says. Adhi Prasada means a kind of cheerfulness. You're cheerful all the time. Are you cheerful? Or are you pulling a long face all the time? That's up to you. Up to you. Be cheerful. So, Adhyatma Prasadam. Then Ridambara Prajna. Your mind, your heartbeat become the heartbeat of the universe. Your Prajna, your understanding, is soaked in Rhythm, the universal intelligence. Rhythm, the universal intelligence. Every thought, every action, every muscle movement in you will be in alignment with the universe. The universe. You are not in conflict with it. Ridambara Prajna. Dharma Megha Samadhi. You experience a shower of blessings all the time. You experience a shower of blessing. Dharma Megha Samadhi. You feel grateful all the time. You feel blessed all the time. Have you experienced that sometime? You feel blessed. You feel uplifted. Dharma Megha Samadhi. These are the words used by Patanjali. And finally he says, Drishehe Kaivalyam. Kaivalyam. Another important word. Kaivalya means inclusive oneness. Kaivalyam. Generally we misunderstand Kaivalya means aloneness. You move away from Prakriti and go into that Purusha state where you have nothing to do with it. But the real meaning of Kaivalya is you embrace Prakriti and spiritualize the material world. And I would call it inclusive oneness or inclusive transcendence. So it's called Kaivalyam. Meaning you are in a state of cosmic love. You love everything. The trees, the animals, the forest. Including President Putin. See, though our blood boils when we think of him, including him. Maybe he has got some reason. Let us understand. Let us sit down. Let us discuss. Let us sort it out. See, that kind of an inclusive oneness, where all contradictions are synthesized into a flame of experience. So, Kaivalyam. So, let me bring, and then you also say, Chiti Shaktehe Sarupa Pratishta. You're deeply rooted in Sarubam, your essential nature. Like a tree, rooted on the ground, but grows and branches and swaying and, in the breeze, but it's very much rooted. We are uprooted people. We have no roots. So, Chidihi Sarupa Pratishta. Sattva Purushayoha Shuddhi Samyam, another word he uses, place. Meaning the mind and the body and the consciousness all become three sources of light fused into one light, you say. Sattva Purushayoha Shuddhi Samyam. Your mind becomes as pure, your body becomes as transparent as consciousness. Consciousness soaks your body and the mind and your environment. Sattva Purushayoha Shuddhi Samyam. Dosha Bija Chayam. And all the doshas, suffering, have entered. So, Tada Drishehe Kaivalyam. So, let me give you 4 important phrases. Purushagyadi, Surubhavasthanam, Nirbija Samadhi, and Kaivalyam. 4 important words. Purushagyadi, Surubhavasthanam, Samadhi, Kaivalyam. These are the goals. So sum it up. We feel comfortable with ourselves. We feel rooted. We feel all-inclusive and accommodating. We feel a great sense of love and appreciation of everything. And we feel blessed and a sense of gratitude for whatever we are. We feel comfortable with ourselves. So this is what Patanjali is promising as a practice of yoga. Do you feel all this? If you don't feel it, you have to do it again. You have to practice it again. Every day, without let or hindrance. Every day. Abhyasa. Abhyasa enathukamde. Whether you enjoy it or not, do it every day. 45 minutes. Maximum 1.5 hours. Don't overdo that. Every day. Practice it. And this is what Patanjali is offering. Now we will get into the practice and the philosophy of yoga. Next talk will be the problem of suffering. Why are we suffering? What is the source of reason for suffering? We are not supposed to suffer. But still there is suffering. Dukkham. You feel constricted. You feel you are hemmed in. Dukkha means very limited space. Certain discomfort. So that dukkha, suffering, what is the reason? Why are we suffering? And in this we have to analyze the cognitions, our knowledge, cognitive activities, mind, world. So we'll be analyzing all that. Nature of the world, mind, consciousness, cognition, and suffering. Okay, that is what you're suffering is like a bad tooth in the mouth. That was a friend tooth. You don't want to take it out. But it is painful. I don't know what to do. So that's what suffering is. I'm not comfortable with that. But at the same time, I don't know how to get out of that. So Patanjali will be looking into the nature of human suffering and the nature of our knowledge which causes that suffering, the nature of the world, nature of the mind. So a little bit of philosophy, a little bit of understanding of all this so that your practice of yoga becomes meaningful and enjoyable. That's what I plan to do. Next class, an inquiry into suffering. What is suffering? Who is suffering? Why are we suffering? How can we get out of that? Even if we get out of that, later will we again plunge back into that? These are the questions. And in all this, your knowledge plays a big role. What do you know? How you manufacture knowledge? How you disseminate knowledge? How you convince yourself with the kind of knowledge you are generating? And then get caught up in that kind of knowing processes. Is there a different way of manufacturing, creating knowledge and experiencing life? That's what we will be seeing next time. Thank you very much. Hari Om. Hari Om.